Today I'll be showing you how to make some fun print and cut projects using the Cricut Maker, but you can use the Explorer machine as well. I'm going to take this old pencil case and we're going to give it a bit of a makeover using Teckwrap's new printable glitter heat transfer paper. So much fun. It comes in blue and in green. And then we're going to use Teckwrap's new glow-in-the-dark printable heat transfer paper, and we're going to add that to a cute little gift bag. If we're just meeting right now, hi, my name is Nisha. Welcome to Little Craft Nest. All the supplies I use today will be listed in the description so that you can easily find them. Let's jump onto Cricut Design Space. We're going to start off with a new project in Cricut Design Space, and the first thing we're going to do is grab an image. So click on Images, and I already have in the search bar Creative. And this is the image I want to use right here. So if we click on it, you can see the image number here. If you want to search for it by that, it's M4762ECBO, and that will be in the description as well. We're going to click on Add to Canvas and then click on View. Now I want to print this out and then have the Cricut cut out this design, and we're going to put this on a pencil case. Now, if you look under operation, you'll see that this is a basic cut file, but we want this to be a print and cut file. So under operation, you can go ahead and change that to print then cut. And then if you go over to the layers panel and click on that little triangle beside the word creative, you can see all our different layers here, and they have all been turned into a print then cut layer, except for this top layer here. For some reason, I don't know why it says basic cut, but if you click on that, it does say print then cut under operation. So I'm just going to assume that that's a glitch and that everything is set to print then cut. Now, if I were to go ahead and click on make right now, everything would be scattered all over the place on two separate pages, and we don't want that. So we're going to click on cancel. And what you can do is select your word creative. It's still all grouped together. That's why when I click on it, everything is selected. And then you can click on flatten at the bottom. So now when you go and click on make, everything will cut out as one. But because there is no background around each of these letters, they will still all cut out individually after this image has printed. Now you may want that because you can use a heat transfer mask and transfer this whole word by doing that. But for this project, I'm going to show you something else that you can do. So let's click on cancel. So I actually want this to all cut out as one image. So I want my Cricut to cut around the entire outside of this design and not cut out every letter. So we need to create a background. So go ahead and click on your image, and then we're going to go up to offset, and you'll notice a blue line going around our word here. Now you can make that offset bigger if you want, or you can bring that dial in and make it smaller. I'm going to keep it a little bit smaller. I'm at 0.111 inches, and then I'm going to click apply. Now give me a black offset. I don't want a black offset, so I'm going to change that to white. Now it's kind of hard to see that white offset on this white background screen, so what we can do is change the background color of our screen so we can see it better. So if you click down at the bottom, click on blank canvas. Let's just change our screen color here. And now you can see that much better. Now, let's say you didn't want all these holes inside the word creative and you wanted those filled in. Move this top layer over to the side, and here is our offset layer. You'll notice that if I click on it, the word contour at the bottom right-hand corner is grayed out, meaning I can't use that. And that's because this image right now is set as a print then cut image. So we're going to change the operation of this back to basic cut. And now I'm going to be able to use the contour feature. So I'm going to click on contour, and I'm going to click on hide all contours. And what that does is fill in all the holes, but leave the outside shape intact. And then you just have to click on the X. So now all those little holes are filled in. Now, because I made my offset so small, I do have this really thin piece right there, and I'm not sure if I like that. So if you don't like that, you can go ahead and recreate your offset. Let's just do that quickly. So I'm going to delete this offset, I'm going to make a new one because I think the last one was a little too small. So go over to offset. I'm going to bring that in a little bit, but just not as much as last time. So I am now at 0.194 inches, and let's click apply. And again, we've got that black offset. Let's make this a basic cut. So we can go down to contour, click on hide all contours. Now all those holes are filled in, and then click on the X, and let's change the color of this to white. All right, and now we can line these two layers together now. To make sure they're perfectly center, we're gonna select both of them and then go up to align and click on center. Now, because these are two separate layers right now, they're not gonna cut out together. So what we need to do is flatten these together. So I have both those layers selected. You can see that in the layers panel that they're both green. So both layers are together now, and we can go down to the bottom and click on flatten. So now this image will cut out as a whole. Now I do need to do one more thing and resize this image. I'm gonna make it 6 inches wide, so I'm gonna change that. And now we're ready to click on make. Under material size here, you'll see that we have letter selected. We actually need to change this to A4 if you're using the Teckwrap material. Most of Teckwrap's heat transfer papers are A4, so make sure you select that. And you'll notice your paper size slightly changes on your mat. And we do have room to add more images on this page. So we can go ahead and go up to project copies and change that to 2 and click apply. And so now we can put this image on 2 different pencil cases, or we can put it on both sides of the pencil case. And now we're ready to click on continue and then send to printer. I'm using my Epson EcoTank printer for this project. It's an inkjet printer, and this paper does require inkjet ink. So you're not using sublimation or laser printing. You do need an inkjet printer. Now it doesn't matter if you leave the bleed on or off. We do have a white outside edge on our word, so we really don't need the bleed at all. So I'm just going to turn that toggle off, and I always recommend to use system dialog, so turn that toggle on and then click on print. Now your print dialog box normally pops up behind the design space application, so you may need to move your design space application out of the way in order to find that box. Here it is. And under media and quality, we're going to change our media type, and I'm going to select photo glossy paper. We're not actually using photo glossy paper, but this paper does have glittery specks in it. So I feel like this is a good setting to use. So I'm gonna select that, and that automatically changed my quality to best. If that doesn't change the quality of your image on your printer, make sure you are printing at the highest quality setting, and then go ahead and put your paper in your printer. Make sure you're putting your paper in the printer the right way. For the printer I'm using, I need to have the Teckwrap words facing up at me in the feeder drawer, and then you can go ahead and click on print. Once you've printed your design, place it on your mat the same way it appears on your screen. If your mat's not sticking that much, throw a piece of parchment paper on top and then use your brayer to press down your design to your mat. This is going to protect your brayer from getting any glitter or ink on it. For our material settings, we're going to click on Browse All Materials and then type in Printable. And you'll notice there's a whole pile of different printable settings here. We're actually going to use the bottom setting here, Printable Waterproof Sticker Set White Holographic. And I know that's not the paper we're using, but it's the setting we want. This cuts out with a pressure of 190. So you can use this setting, or you can make your own material setting if you want. And I do have a video on how to do that, so you can check that out later. So let's click on this setting and then click on done. And then we can get our image cut out. If you like, you can move your star wheels to the side of your machine so that they don't run through the ink on your paper, and then slide your mat into your Cricut. Your machine will use a little light to scan the registration marks in the corner of your page, and then it will cut out your design. Once your design is cut out, grab a weeding pen and peel back the negative space from the top layer. Before you apply your design, clean it off with a lint roller first to remove anything that may be stuck to it. You can also preheat your fabric for a few seconds using your mini heat press. I forgot to do this step, but as you'll see, it still turned out fine. Then you can peel your design off the paper and lay it on the pencil case. Since we're not using a transfer mask on top of our design, make sure you place some parchment paper over top so that your heat press is protected and your design doesn't stick to your heat press. I'm using my Cricut Easy Press Mini today, but you could use a larger heat press if you wanted to. I have it set to medium and I'm just going over the design for about 25 seconds. And then remove the parchment paper and you're done. This turned out really cute. I love how you can see the little glitter specks through it, and it's a really fun way to turn an old pencil case into something fun and new. Let's start the glow-in-the-dark project now and jump back onto Cricut Design Space. Here's the image we'll be using for our little drawstring bags. I actually just threw this image together in Canva and then I imported it into Cricut Design Space. Now you'll notice in the layers panel that this is all one layer. We have no arrow beside the word happy faces. So this is already all grouped together. So we don't need to flatten this or attach this or anything like that. However, you'll notice that there is space between each of our happy faces. So our Cricut will cut around each individual happy face. Now you could go ahead and create an offset, but I actually want my Cricut to cut around each individual happy face for this one because we're going to be using the transfer mask for this project, so we'll be able to transfer this image all at once. All I have to do is resize this image to 3 inches wide, and then I'm going to click on Make. I'm going to change the project copies to 4 and then click Apply. So now we got lots of happy faces on our page, but they're so close together. I'm going to spread them out a little bit so that it's easier to transfer them later after they've been cut out. And then I'm going to press Continue. We're going to send this to the printer. This time I'm going to leave the bleed on because the outside edge of each of our happy faces is a color. So if we extend that color a little bit, if our calibration is slightly off, we're not going to notice. We're also going to use the system dialog and then click on Print. Then under Media and Quality, we're going to select our media type. I'm just going to choose photo because this paper isn't glossy at all, and we'll change the quality from normal to best. Place your heat transfer paper in the printer the same way you did last time and then go ahead and click on Print. For our cut settings for our happy faces, we're going to click on Browse All Materials. And for this one, I actually created my own cut setting. So I'm going to search for that. I'm going to type out Printable. And this is my setting here, Printable Glow-in-the-Dark Teckwrap. So the cut setting I made for this was 150. And if you want to learn how to do that, I will leave the video for how to make your own cut settings linked down below in the description of this video. So I'm going to click on my custom setting here and then click on Done. Now we can get those happy faces cut out. I'm not sure what happened between my last project and this one, but suddenly my calibration is really off. And when I weed this out, you'll be able to see how off my Cricut machine was. So look at that. I am going to have to go back into Design Space and recalibrate my machine. If you're having the same issue as me, I do have a video on how to calibrate your machine, so you can check that out. But this is pretty disappointing, especially because this paper is not just normal paper, it's fun glow-in-the-dark paper, and I really wanted to show you this. So I'm going to recalibrate my machine, and hopefully these happy faces will be cut out properly with my next cut. Okay, I think I fixed the problem. I actually think it was more of my printer error rather than my Cricut, because when I put some more paper in my Cricut machine, all of a sudden it started printing out a whole pile of happy face sheets. So something went glitchy there, but I'm really glad this looks like the calibration is perfect this time. So let's check this out. Now, because of this material is kind of stretchy and maybe rubbery-like, you may need to put your finger on the piece while you pull back, just so it doesn't stick to the paper and lift up. So we'll carefully weed out all these happy faces here. And if one lifts off like that, just grab them and put them back in place. All right, and there are our happy faces all weeded out, and I'm just gonna transfer one section at a time. So I have this transfer mask here, and you have to peel off the backing side, and then you'll have a sticky side to lay on top. Kind of the same idea as transfer tape when you're using vinyl. So I'm just gonna cut off a section of this because I don't need to do a whole big sheet, and I can save some of this sheet for another project. So I'm gonna peel off the backing side here just using a weeding pen. And then I've got my sticky side, and I'm gonna put it over top of this section of happy faces right here. And you can use a squeegee or a scraper to make sure it's stuck on there. And then we're just gonna peel that off. So our happy faces are attached to our transfer mask now. I've got our little pouches here, and I'm gonna turn my Easy Press Mini on to medium once again, and we'll let that warm up. And while that warms up, I'm just gonna clean these pouches off for a second. Now, because we have our transfer mask, we're able to lay all these happy faces all down at once in the same pattern as we have them on the screen. So we're not placing them on individually, which is really nice. Now, also because we have this mask on top, you do not need to put parchment paper on top because this sticky mask will protect your heat press, and then it also protects our transfer paper underneath. So you can just leave that on there, but if you want to be extra cautious, go ahead and use the parchment paper. There is parchment paper included in the Teckwrap packages. So we're going to go over this again for about 25 seconds, and then we'll see how it glows in the dark. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and peel off the mask. And there's my printer talking to me again. All right, and that just peeled off so easily. It's so beautiful. I peeled this off while it was hot and had no problem at all. And this just looks so cute. So let's check it out and what it looks like in the dark. I'm gonna turn off the lights. And there's our happy faces glowing. That is so cute. This would make such a cute little treat bag. And here's my other happy faces over here that we haven't transferred yet. I hope you enjoyed making these fun print and cut projects with me today. I do have a list of everything I used today down below in the description, so go check that list out, and I hope to see you on more crafting adventures.